So at this point, I'd like to invite our panel up to discuss some of the things that they've been doing this year and some of the things that are successful in actual stores and not just our theory here, so you can get a better understanding of what works in today's world and what these guys have time to do. So welcome, guys. We have Darren from Aqua Blue and Andrew from Waterworld, and what they're going to be talking about, well, here, I'll hand you that first, because is what's been going on in 2013. What did they have success with, and what they'll probably be continuing in the near future as well. So Darren, let us know what you've been doing.
Thank you. Yeah, a while back, Ron emailed me, and I kind of laugh now because he posed the question of what are we doing as far as a marketing campaign, and if it's working, is it good enough, or is it as good as what our competitors or our competition is doing? So I'll be honest, I kind of got my wheels turning, and I sat back and had a look at what we're offering and what we're doing. And in all honesty, I was a little overwhelmed. Years ago, we'd do a Yellow Pages campaign. We would maybe slam an ad in the paper once a week. If we had a big sale, we'd do a billboard or a little radio spoof and just kind of hope for the best. Now, it's just so overwhelming that you've got Google, you've got Bing, you've got your Facebook, your Twitter. People are selling you this impression of this, and it snowballs into a mess pretty quick. So today I've looked at our campaigns, and there's three that we're kind of focusing on. And the first is Google, which in all honesty, they have a lot of different things available to us. But one thing that we're going to focus on this year is increasing not only our organic position, but also we're going to do a lot of AdWord campaigns. This is something we've done for a few years, and we've seen great success with it. This to me is where you want to be. Years ago, we'd spend a lot of money in Yellow Pages, and if that was something you're putting $4,000 or $5,000 or $1,000 in a month, to me, you should knock that down and put it towards this.
Yeah, so you could see what it's doing for you, right? You're up there at the top.
That's right. So we've positioned ourselves well. Now, this is a search that I just did just a few weeks ago. It was Pool Liner in Welland, which you'll see us the fourth down, which that is actually the first organic listing. So when you enter a search into Google, in this particular matter, there's two platforms. The first is your Google AdWords, which those top three postings, those people are paying to be there, which I highly recommend. This is, to me, this should be your meat and potatoes. Years ago, we'd say you want to be on the first page. I really think you should be in the top 4 or 5. Really, if you're a big player, you want to be number one. Everyone wants to be one. But yeah, here we've tried to focus and put ourselves in a good organic position. And come springtime, we'll run different campaigns, and we'll try and position ourselves that we'll be number 1 or number 2, different times through the season. So you'll see here, discounters, Pool Supplies Canada. These guys throw a ton of money into this, and it's not just seasonal; it's all year round. And I imagine they're getting a good return. That's at the end of the day, that's what we want. So just to kind of give a brief overview, this is a basic organic search. I did it as a generic swimming pool stores. So here you're not seeing any ads. Nobody's bumping us because most people don't run an ad on a store. You want to run an ad as a product.
Right. So by organic search, in case you're wondering what he's talking about, is by basically you appear there because of popularity. It's not because you've paid to be there. It's not because of any specific pointing. It's because you are popular enough to naturally end up that way.
That's right. Yeah, Google, they do change the way the chips fall on the table. They change it all the time. My best advice for this is, obviously you want to have a website. You want to structure that with, current data, keep it updated, like you had mentioned, fresh. And that's how they're going to position you.
So how do you think you get there in terms of, like, you write a blog, you do social media, those are all things that you do how frequently?
So that's a good question. I wish I had more time to do it more often, but I do it just enough to try and keep that position. So
how many hours a week do you spend doing that?
So I'll probably spend a couple hours between Facebook and Twitter and this style. It's new content and blogging I find works very well. I would definitely recommend, under Google, you can claim your listing as a Google place. So your store will show up on a map, and you'll see here I'm listed as number A. I've went in and basically, consumed that. Right. And they actually phone your store, make sure you're a valid listing. And I find that tends to bump you up.
Yeah, because that's something you'll see on the screen there. 1, 2, 3, 4. The fifth thing down from that point down is the Google Places, which, when it populates it on the map. And so if you haven't done that, go to Google Places, claim your spot on there to ensure that you're one of these people.
We have our website company, and we have them as a SEO optimizer. So just if you don't have time to input all the information yourself on the computer, if you're not computer savvy, then the internet company or the website company can help out as well.
Yeah, so if you aren't capable of doing this yourself, the message is somebody's got to do it. And that's one of the important things that somebody has to do. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. It's money well spent. This is something you will get your return on. Nowadays, people aren't going to a phone book and they're not looking up a pool service or a pool pump. They're pulling out their phone, they're going online, they're Googling it.
Yeah. Another thing that's worth mentioning is that in the US, people have a tendency to type in pool pump, whereas in Canada, we had been trained years ago, excuse me, by the industry in general. When you used to type in pool pump, you'd get every result from California because there were so many people there that was the center of the world from the internet perspective, that we got used to typing in pool pump Toronto, pool pump Montreal. So Canadians have a tendency to use that information, whereas Americans don't do that. They just type in pool pump and expect the appropriate information to come up. The world has changed in terms of search, such that today when you type pool pump, it still comes up in your area only. However, people are still in the habit of typing their city in. So you may want to just keep that in mind when you're creating these categories, where you fall in. You may want to include the word of your city in there as well, even though your SEO person is saying, well, don't worry about that. That's not the way it works anymore. It's just a psychological difference between Canadians and Americans.
Yeah. So one thing that we're going to do come spring with Google is we tend to increase the volume of AdWords that we do. So, for instance, here you'll see this is one of my competitors, Bolt. And those top 3 ads, everything above those pictures are all Google AdWords. Are there a number of, is anyone here doing Google AdWords?
Yeah, there was a few.
Okay.
Yeah, 3 or 4.
So this is something that if you don't have anyone in-house, I would highly recommend, as you'd mentioned. There's people out there that specialize in this. I would probably not go more towards your Yellow Pages, your Gold Book style. They will overcharge you for this service. There's a lot of companies available that basically can make you number 1, and it can be relatively... So
now here you are just below the AdWords, and so you're saying in the summertime you're going to start paying for that to move yourself up into that top block.
Yes, what's nice with this is if you want to be number 1 or number 2, you can pay to get there. And yes, in my area, I will be number 1.
Right.
And that's something that you have the ability to do. If you don't want to put a ton of money into it, you want to dabble, you can kind of play with the positioning. And what's nice is you can segregate what areas you want to focus on. So if we're in the Niagara region, so we'll do Welland, St. Catharines, Grimsby, but really Hamilton is outside of our service area, so I won't put any money into that because I won't get any return. So that's what's nice. It gives you full control, and it does have a great return.
Right.
This next program, Or do you want me to step?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. This here is another digital form of advertising that we've done for a number of years. And every year we do it, we tend to find that we have great success with it. So we tend to do more and more each year. This year is through the Weather Network. It's what's called as a total takeover. And if you're not familiar with it, you're going to see it more and more as time goes on. Here they're showing what's called as a box ad, which is circled there on the right. On the top, just to the right of the Weather Network, is the banner. And just below the box ad is what they call as a skyscraper. So at any point you can buy this, and they try to confuse us with impressions of, flashing it on the screen when you click, and then when someone else clicks, your ad may not be there, but then it pops up again. So it can be a little overwhelming if people don't explain how it's serviced, but this I find is a good program. The next step here is, this is what we call as a total takeover. So now we not only have the banner, the box ad, the skyscraper, we also have the imagery all around the data. So this has become very popular. You basically reserve this whole program for a 24-hour period. We find that a lot of local newspapers, the Weather Network, any news websites are now offering this.
Yeah, and remember, we are very weather dependent, right? So if you're leading up to a weekend and someone's determining what they're going to be doing this weekend or whether they're opening their pool or not, where better to be than on the Weather Network, because people are referring to that now. The Weather Network is actually expanding their revenue model by really focusing on what they can do to help businesses across the world in terms of steering customers based on weather patterns. You can change your ad if it's raining, you can change your ad if it's sunny, and that's the kind of thing that makes sense in our business, because really, people, how many times do they look to know what's going to be happening this weekend? So it's a great place to be.
Yeah, it's true. And you know what? A lot of our competitors may not be there now, but they're going to be there in the next year or two. Right. Between Google and this style advertising, I see it increasing time and time again.
Yeah, so the total takeover, here you can see that it's both the background, the banner, and the tower advertising. So that's 3 places where your branding appears, and it really literally takes it. It's the first thing you notice when you're searching. Yep. When that's mobile, that's desktop, that's everything. So they're doing that stuff for you.
Yeah, this is one that this is one we run last spring, and it was a one-day sale. Now this, I just realized, isn't our final mock-up, but on the right-hand side we had our store hours. We had the red one-day sale, and what we did was, for this promotion, we reserved that box ad and the banner for about 2 weeks. And it was just about 10,000 impressions, just enough to kind of slowly engage people that are on that site. And then we ran this for a 3-day program, so it was Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And we've done this for 2 years now, and that weekend is our busiest weekend. We have lineups out the door. I should have did a snapshot of our analytics, but on our website, our traffic tripled from that day for the next week.
Right, so traffic on their website tripled with this kind of advertising and leads to foot traffic. The stuff is working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this program here, I wouldn't put all your eggs into it. I call it more of a supplement or a side salad. This is not something you want to blow your whole budget on, but I do find it is a good program that you could run easily all summer long. Okay. So this one here is kind of a branding program that we introduced in our store. We call it a Seasons Pass. A lot of people do loyalty programs or VIP programs. This has worked very well for us. Basically, how we've kind of presented this to the customers, we would get certain discounts for being a member at our store. So similar to how Costco would sell you a yearly membership, we would sell them a membership to our store. So we kind of brought this on board as, just to give you a little background, we're in the older part of town. We're a 7-8 minute drive, probably from 80% of our customers. People have to drive past 2 or 3 other pool stores to get to us. And so many times we look at, all our pool sales, in-grounds, above-grounds, hot tubs. We notice people buy the pools and then sometimes they just vanish. So this I found worked very well to get them back. And how we did it is every pool, every spa, everything that we sell, we would give them this card. Anyone else, we would sell it or give a renewal fee of every year $5. So in our first season of this, we sold close to 2,000 cards at $5. And, when you do the math, like there's a couple, that's some pretty good margin. Now, how we marketed this is in the off season, we took every balancing chemical like alkalinity, pH, calcium, your 2 kg, your 4, your 8, and we marked everything up 10%. So when customers came back into the new season, oftentimes they expect an increase. They may not remember. Really, 10% is pretty easy to bury, on a $6 algicide or, balancing chemicals are pretty reasonable. But when you show them this card and they can see that, now they save 10%, and really you're not giving anything away because you've already marked everything up, it's quite impressive. People really eat this up because they now feel like they're a member to your store. They will now drive to your store to be a part of that. And at the end of the day, you haven't given anything else away. And for the small percentage of customers that don't purchase this card, you're making that additional 10%.
Yeah, plus you charge them for the card.
That's right. So really, there's no gamble with this. There's no risk. It is a bit of work, but I have people that will drive 30 minutes to be a member at our store that now make purchases, and they've just driven past 5 stores.
And you don't even give 10% off everything. You're giving it on specific. This is like a chemical pass, right?
That's right. So you can, over the years, we've built this, and what's nice is you can customize this program to what suits your store. So for an example, we did filter cartridges. We gave a discount off filter cartridges because we found, customers would come in to purchase a cartridge, but then we'd never see them for chemicals. So when we'd sell them the pass, now you've taken them virtually off the market because they will walk through the box stores and, they'll see something, but they're a member at your store. So it's, it almost just, takes them right out.
So the reason I like that this is being brought up is because it relates to what I was saying just before about getting people signed up, that you recognize who they are. There are digital ways of doing this, but if you want to start doing this and preparing your store to handle the margins of this, do it manually, do it with a card. And next year we'll show you how to do it digitally, and we'll get someone up here to show you how to do that through the smartphones. But at least get your store prepared so that, like he says, you're not bleeding margin. You've just, hey, it was last year, that was the price. This year it's gone up this amount. Customers are happy, it's a new year, but you have a new program to sell them this card to get back to last year's pricing.
Yeah, and I found too that, for instance, this year just kind of shows some of the program that we've built. So we've included free monthly testing, discounts on chemicals. Say you've got certain inventory that, you want to blow out. This is a great opportunity that for season pass holders, you can now give a discount off that product to,
right.
Get some new stuff on the shelf.
Right. So it's an exclusive sale.
That's right. This here is a couple of our tear-off sheets. So when a customer comes in and we're selling an above-ground pool, the one on the right is for an in-ground. You'll notice on the bottom left is the season's pass card. So with every pool that we sell, we now giving them a membership, which, we kind of presented to them that, hey, we appreciate you buying from us, so now we're going to give you a membership to our store and hopefully save you some money over the next year, which a lot of times if your competition isn't doing that, that's one more thing that you're offering that really they're nothing to compare it to.
Yeah.
So it gives them that warm, fuzzy feeling that now you're getting them back into the store. And if you can create a routine of habit of them coming, you're not going to lose them.
Yeah.
So I find this is probably one of the best programs that we've done, and it continues to grow every year.
Excellent. Yeah. I'll grab the clicker from you. And so one of the things you had mentioned was the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, the lead up into it, that really, people are making those decisions. What am I going to be doing this weekend? They usually start Wednesday. They hear something or they see an ad. They forget about it. Wednesday comes around. They've already started to make some plans. They forget about it again. If they don't see it again Saturday and Sunday, it's fairly likely that they will forget, right? So you got to make sure that carries over the actual time of when you want them there, because really, just because they heard it earlier, they're busy people. So that brings me to radio, because radio is something that's fairly important in terms of the timing, in terms of when people are making decisions. And at Waterworld this year, they involved themselves in the radio campaign that I've sent it out many times to you as a basic understanding. I mean, they went and did their own thing with it, but it basically is a program that you work to give away a hot tub. So Andrew is going to talk to us a little bit about what they experienced this year and how it worked for them.
Yep, thanks, Ron. Basically, hands up if anybody has an old spa on their floor, maybe last year model that it's collecting dust, it's not really moving. It's a perfect candidate. Basically, we had an old Bullfrog spa. It was a 2012, and it was a perfect opportunity to clear it out of the floor and get ready for the redesign. So we contacted a local radio station in Peterborough and donated the spa with the return of a summer-long promotion of advertising, live announcements. So basically every day they would invite people to enter the contest, fill out a ballot at our store or online for a chance to win a spa at the end of the summer. So it was a summer long promotion. It drove up a lot of traffic to our store. We had tons of radio presence on air. It was a local station that's been in business for about 5 years now, and their target demographic are women. Adult contemporary music kind of thing. So there was a lot of ballots filled out, and basically we had a lot of people in our store and coming in and saying, did you buy the radio station? They heard our live announcements quite often. The promotion took place August 30th. There was a morning show, and the morning show people are pretty entertaining, and they made a nice event of it. They had a bus pull out in our parking lot, and we gave away the spa on site. And we basically fished out the ballots and gave away the hot tub. So it's just a great way to promote the Bullfrog line, generate publicity for our store, and just create awareness. And it was a fun way to do it. I found this year, after the in-store renovation that we did, it was a good opportunity to celebrate what we've done for ourselves, but not only, we like the renovation. It's a nice working environment, but it's for our customers. And everybody that came in, I mean, positive feedbacks on the overall presentation, and our layout went hand in hand with IPG rebranding. The Bullfrog Spa line celebrated their new design, and it was a positive, great experience, and it increased sales in the end.
Yeah, one of the things that was key to this is that it's a giveaway. Well, you mentioned one thing is demographics, so let's talk about that first. Is that the demographic side of it? They picked a station that they knew they could own. It's a newer station. It was a station that is hungry for this kind of thing. I find that it works really well with country stations, because a country station, someone who listens to a country station is not going to change the channel. They're only going to listen to that station. They're not going to switch to a rock or a pop station, right? So if you can have your message repeated to that same person over and over and over again, because they're welded to that station, it's going to sound like they're going to hear all of your announcements, and they're going to think that literally you've bought the station. So if you can find we won't say struggling station, but a very specific demographic station in your market, approach the promotions department. Hey, I've got something. That's another key, was to approach the promotions department, not the sales department, because the sales department is going to take that from you and charge you for advertising. You go to the promotions department, whose job it is to find free stuff and promote free stuff. Speak to the promotions director and get your product in here. But the key was getting people into the store. So you did it through both them being able to fill in a ballot,
yep,
And then on the day of the draw, what was it like on the day of the draw?
It was good. The only drawback was it was very early in the morning. It was their morning program. It was Friday leading into the long weekend. So we did have a few people on the way to work. They'd be honking, and we had coffee and refreshments and things like that. And we did have a few people stop in our store to fill out a last-minute ballot. So it was good in that regard, but just the timing maybe... looking back, it maybe would have been better to do it maybe later on in the the day, or have a band in and maybe a barbecue kind of thing, because it was an early start. It was their 6 to 10 in the morning kind of thing.
So there's a key thing, is how do you tie in two parts of the radio station? You tie in the morning show as the people you want to promote it, because that's when the majority of people are listening. But if you can also tie in the evening and have a party at your store at the end, and every single one of those people who filled in a ballot was there to find out if they are the ones who are walking home with a hot tub strapped to their back, then that is the kind of thing that draws traffic to your store. So they were able to draw traffic at the beginning of the promotion. I would have just liked to have seen it draw it right at the end too, because imagine if you're there with 50 people. See, in this case, it was kind of an open ballot, right? Anybody could come in and fill it out. I like the idea that the morning show people, okay, today we're taking caller number 14. Yay, you're the first person. Tomorrow we're taking caller number 14. Yay, you're the second person. You do that for 50 days, and now there's only 50 names in there, and those 50 people come to a party at your store with the evening team, who is now a whole new set of voices who are then there doing the draw. That's a lot of people, because you got 49 very hot leads in your store right now if they didn't win that hot tub. And you saw that picture of the truck here. That's a lot of product waiting for those 49 other people who are ready to buy. Yeah.
And then the 49 other people, you can give them a coupon or something for that event.
Exactly. The invitation only, or hey, give them a membership card so that when they are ready to buy, they can get something. Yeah. So in overall, though, this is it didn't cost a lot of money to do it. What kind of advertising did you get?
We had tons of social media from Magic Radio. That was huge. We had every single day there was at least 12 live liners. So the DJs have to announce our name, our location, website. And we had a lot of ads as well. So it was basically over $7,000 worth of radio ads for the season. And it was fun for us, because we would retweet things and post different things that the station did. With that truck picture there, every time we had a truckload of spas come in, it's a moving billboard, and it just looks impressive. So we would post images, another 10 Bullfrog spas arriving to Peterborough, another 10 happy families. We'd get that out, and it's little things like that just create awareness and create a positive spin. But it's pretty neat when the trucks roll in, and it's just an opportunity to kind of show the customers what.
Now, did you end up piggybacking a campaign that you paid for in addition for radio?
We did have to make a small cash investment as well with the donation of the spa, but
that you went to the advertising department.
That's correct, and they more or less came to us and said, "Do you have anything that you would like to donate? Something small, something large?" And then it basically started. The hot tub was actually outside of my office, and I wanted it out of there, so it was perfect. But
so if you proactively find the station that you want, go to the promotions department, it is likely that you won't be spending anything. And as a former announcer, I know that if I see a promotion there, I would always talk about them, because you're there for 8 hours, you have to find things to talk about. If there's information in front of you, I would always talk about all the other promotions because it's something exciting about the radio station. So not only do you get the guaranteed liners, you get all the other jocks who are there and during the day are always going to mention your name. They're always going to draw attention to it. So that's not even counted. That's all free.
And it's something, we would do it again. We boosted our sales. We hit our projections. So we did obtain a free spa from Bullfrog. And I think what we're going to do next year is maybe use that spa and go to each station and go to their promotion department and say, "Hey, look, we have a free spa. What can you offer?" And have a bidding war. And it was great.
So your numbers this year on spas?
It was, I think, close to maybe 50% increase over the last year. And we did a few things throughout the season as well. We went back to an old home and cottage show. We haven't done that in quite some time, but that was a good way to start. It's been done 1,000 times, but it was a good way to stay relevant. Every other competitor was there, and we had people coming by, and our booth looked great, and it was a good way to kind of, I mean, we've been in Peterborough for over 40 years, so we like to think, everyone knows where we are, but it was good as a starting point just to kind of maintain our presence in the market.
Well, that's a good point. One thing that Al from Bullfrog does in every single city he visits, he stops at a gas station and he asks, hey, where would you buy a hot tub? And 90% of the time it's not, they don't even know the names of the stores that, again, you say everybody knows you, and that's our impression. But when I started doing that too, I was in BC and I was driving around, and not once did they even heard of the store. They're like, I don't know, maybe Home Depot or Walmart, I'm like, no, that's not where you can get it. So, it really, the being in front of the people, we've talked about digital ways of doing it, but the method of being in front of people with physical product, home shows, radio stations, it has to be part of an overall program, and we can't just rely on one source. I mean, everything that they've talked about here, combine those, and we're starting to work at that 5% extra, that 10% extra, because otherwise it's never going to happen. So any questions in terms of the technologies or anything about their experience? Make one up. I'm going to plant someone in the audience next. Yes, James.
The card that you had for the gentleman on the left.
Yeah, the card.
Did you have a company do that for you, or did you create the card and physically give the card to the person? And do you offer a discount on top of if you do a sale on chemicals? You discount this.
So I'll repeat the question so they can hear it. Do you have a professional company that makes these cards, create these cards? Is it a physical thing you hand to the customers? And if the person comes in and there is already a special on something, do they also get their additional 10%?
Okay, so the cards, there's a number of manufacturers that make these cards. There was one of 70. So I actually have some that I brought with me. If you want, they're in my room, I can grab them. But yeah, they're very relatively inexpensive to manufacture. The first year that we did this, because I knew I had no risk or cost involved other than the manufacturing the card, I called the promotions and the human resources at our Niagara Region Health System, which I believe has over 20,000 employees. And I made this available to them for their great service. I said, anyone that comes in and shows their badge, we will gladly give them a season's pass. And, just to thank you for all the work they do. The next year I did our school board, because teachers, they love their summers. And you know what? If I'm giving them free, they're telling their friends, and before you know it, it snowballs. It really takes off.
Yeah, in Hamilton, we used to give it to all the police, and same thing. I think I sold every cop in Hamilton a hot tub at some point or other.
Yep.
Yeah.
So along with the pools that we sell, we always give a card, and we have a little display. It's basically a card stock, and it's, it shows a little thank you on there, little description of what's included, and then we direct them onto our website, which kind of gives a more detailed breakdown. Every pool we open, every liner we do, I will have the service techs leave this in their door, so that way it encourages them to come in. It's all about getting them back into the store, because really that's what we want. I hope did that answer?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just add to this pocket way we did London Pacific program, great.
Yeah.
And all free name mentions that were great. But what we did is we had the afternoon drive team. We split it morning and the afternoon. That's where we spent our extra money.
Yeah.
It was the afternoon drive. And then we had the afternoon drive team come, and we had the invitational party for 50 people. And each one got to bring a guest, which was either their sponsor or if they did win it, they were already looking, well, if we don't win, which one are we buying? And so we had a big party of beverages and all that. We did a reverse draw. So we put all 50 names in. First one out got a $2,000 gift certificate to our store. And that was their prize for everybody else got a $100 gift certificate all the way down. When we got down to number one, there was 2 tags left in the contest. We started pulling 5 at a time as we did. Now, when we got down to class 5, the building was classic. Oh, yeah.
Right.
They had been drawn out already. They were staying the same as what.
Right, so if you didn't hear, they did the combination of morning and evening, and they culminated in the draw event at the store, and they did a reverse draw such that they pulled out names, and that person won, what was it, $1,000? $2,000 as a gift certificate to the store, and they kept drawing names and names and names and giving them a $100 certificate, so that even though they hadn't won and they knew they hadn't won, there was still excitement in the room because there was only a few names left, and who is going to be that last person who wins. It's sort of like the keys with the car. Everybody, you know, it's never the first person to put the key in, right? It's always the last person, conveniently. Not that I'm saying we make things up in radio. But you know, the person who starts the car gets to take it home, that kind of thing. There's an excitement in having people in the store, and they stick around. And yeah, having a band, having drinks, having everything gives them a reason to stay there. And I like the idea that they're allowed to bring a guest. In your case, you're saying to pick the color, but also, hey, bring a friend, and they have the chance to win. You know, if you get a $100 certificate, we'll match it. Okay, we probably won't match it if you win the spa, but still, it would be exciting to get more people into the store as well. Well, and people driving by, if they see tons of cars outside your store and parking lots and lights and stuff going on, they're probably going to drive by again to see what the heck was going on there. It's the, you know, car accident syndrome. Anything else? Any other questions? No? Well, Darren will have those samples with him, and can you just throw them in your pocket when you're walking around? So if you see him and you'd like to see a sample or grab one of those from him, that would be great.
Yep, I'll leave them at the desk too.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. And good luck in the new season.